Hi, my name is Summer and I'm the responsible sibling. I'm going to talk to you today about a short list of what needs to happen when your parents first pass away and you're left being the responsible person to take care of everything. People are looking at you to make decisions and you're in the process of grieving and trying to figure out what's the next step. So let's get started. The very first thing that you're going to need is either a life insurance policy or access to some sort of funds to take care of your parent. At this point, their body needs to either be shipped somewhere, buried, cremated. Depending on your religious beliefs, you may only have a certain amount of time. And so you want to have access to those funds to be able to carry out your parents' wishes. And so that's the very first thing you need to find and have located. The next thing is the power of attorney in the will. The power of attorney is typically the document, it's a legal document that you have that allows you or someone else to make decisions on your parents' behalf while they're alive. This was very important for me. My dad had Alzheimer's, so my mom was the power attorney for him then. When my mother got sick and she was in the hospital, I was the power of attorney over her affairs. So it's very helpful to have that document. Once they have passed away, that power of attorney is no longer active. The will becomes the primary legal document. And in the will, I am listed as the executor. If you're or one of your siblings are listed as the executor, then you're now the person that can make the decision. So you want to make sure you have those documents as well. Next, we are going to need a little bit of information about your parent. So, any license that you have, social security card, uh, just knowing where the medications are because you're going to have to dispose of those. You may need to contact their doctor, we're not sure. And just typically having any type of access to maybe some of their health records. You may not need that, but just in case, you want to have just those few things about your parent, you want to be able to have access to that just in case you have to go in there to pull up any information or provide documentation to say, here's ID that this is my parent and here's your social security card, just to verify that information. Next on the list, I'm going to say keys. I know that seems weird, but keys. Do you have keys to their vehicle? Do you have keys to their home? Do you have keys to anything that you may need access to in the immediate future? Okay. So in my scenario, I needed to get in and out my parents' home. I've always had a key. At some point, I needed to start up her car, just, drive it around, make sure nothing happened to it, that it was being used so that we wouldn't have to keep jumping it. So I just needed keys to things. The next thing is passwords. Now, our parents are living a full life typically, and or they have things that they, their cell phone, their laptops. Make sure you have passwords so that you can access these things, especially if they keep a lot of their documents electronically. You want to make sure that you can get into their cell phone and call the proper people or get the right contact information. You want to be able to log into their laptop. If they're paying bills electronically and you need to access it, it's probably the best way is through their laptop. So you're going to need some passwords. Next on the list, we're going to say deeds, anything. If they own a home, own a condo, they're renting an apartment, you're going to need that documentation because you want to be able to lay your hands on it. If especially if this is going to be eventually transferred into your name or into your split among your siblings, having those documents that show the ownership of the assets are key. Same for the vehicle. So if they have the title, the car title, or if you have the loan documentation, this would be very helpful to be able to put your hands on these pretty quickly. And then I think last but not least, you are going to need access to some bank accounts. Okay. As adult children, we already have our bank accounts. We have access to that. That's how we pay our bills. That's how we do our savings and our retirement. But now you're going to have to pay for attorneys. You may have to pay some court fees. You may have to pay some incidentals. And you want to make sure that you have some immediate access to some funds. So that could be everything from being listed on their accounts as payable upon death. That could be something as having being a joint owner on maybe an account of theirs. However, you guys want to do it, maybe they put some money aside and said, hey, we're putting it in your name. Whatever the case may be, you want to make sure that you have access to some liquid cash as you're doing this process because there are things that just need to be paid for. I think that is a very good start. It's not everything, but it's a very good start when you're being thrown into situations like this or you wake up and find yourself in situations like this. Follow me to learn more.